Welcome back to Power On Weekly for the week of, I never have this up, April 5th through the 11th. My name is Irving Legend. I am your host. Joining me this week is your co-host, Aly Mayhem.
Hi.
Hi, Aly. And joining us this week is our girlfriend, Steve Granado. Steve, welcome to the show.
What's up? Your boy's back.
He's back.
Again.
And we're back again.
Yeah.
Yeah, 3 weeks hiatus, and yeah, here we are again. We've been busy.
I've been incubating a human, so I don't want to hear it.
Yeah, that's true.
Me too, just in the closet.
Oh.
What?
Wait.
I mean, Death Stranding? What?
We'll edit that out. No, I'm just kidding.
Leave it in.
Aly, we found out the gender of our baby. Yes, we are having a boy, everybody.
It's got a penis.
It's got a penis.
Wow. That makes three of us.
I think we've decided on the name, right? I think.
Steve, I know.
Yeah,
you can say it.
Steve, the best name.
That's what you're revealing it to me. I know.
In honor of Steve, we're not naming it Steve.
Yeah.
Are we gonna say what it is? Or?
I don't know. Maybe we'll wait for a bit then. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, no worries. Well, we're not here to talk about our baby.
Leave him on the edge, guys. Jeez.
Oh, we didn't discuss this part. I didn't know Irving was gonna bring it up. I'm not ready yet.
Okay.
Got me on pins and needles.
I'm not ready.
Wait, did you guys even talk about that on the show yet? Just
No.
side note.
Wait,
No.
what do you mean?
Oh, like being pregnant?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I watched that episode.
Yeah.
So in honor of Steve, we're not naming the baby Steve.
Well,
Fine.
are.
I'll settle for a middle name. That's fine.
Okay.
That's totally-
We're not here to talk about our baby, but although I was very happy with our little baby shower that we did in our
Result or reveal.
reveal. Yeah, I thought it was really cute. I might put some video here as we're like we talked about it and stuff. It was fun. It was really cool. Really close, just close family, and it was nice and intimate. It was nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Shout out to my mom. She did a really good job setting everything all up. But yeah. Anyways, we've been gone for a while, so instead of going directly into the main topic that we're going to talk about, which is the E3 news, let's just do a quick roundup of just some of the news that we missed. First off, it wouldn't be a Power On Weekly show if we didn't talk about Game Pass.
Good old Game
And
Pass.
I wouldn't be here if we didn't talk about good Game Pass.
Good old Game Pass, man.
Yeah, so Game Pass keeps getting better and better. Outriders came out on Game Pass day one.
Actually, with Outriders, Game Pass got worse.
Ooh,
That
got
game
him.
is terrible.
That game is a hot mess, but it's been fun to play with friends, and it's been like Aly is actually playing another game that isn't Overwatch, and that's Outriders, surprisingly. But something
Because I love trash.
yeah. So Outriders coming to Game Pass is really interesting because it's by Square Enix. It's a third-party developer, and it's coming day one. It came day one to Game Pass, which hadn't really been done before. Even like games like Dirt 5 eventually came to Game Pass, but at launch it wasn't there. Do you guys have any thoughts on that? Like how just what that means for like Game Pass in general in the future, or do you think it's just kind of like a one-time thing or something like that? Aly, we'll go with you first.
I don't know.
Okay. How about you, Steve? Do you have any?
I think what's probably going to end up happening is the same like thing that happened with Netflix, right? Is Netflix started off obviously with doing actual DVDs in the mail, but then eventually graduating to just doing full-time online streaming. But as it got more and more popular, companies started to see the value in that, and that's why everybody has a Plus or a Max or whatever they're going to call it, right? So that's probably what's eventually going to happen is right now, yeah, we have like these third parties hopping on because there's not really much of a competition as far as like streaming services go for games. Like, yes, there's GeForce Now and Stadia and Amazon Luna if you're crazy. But there's like eventually there are going to be more and more that pop up, and then you're going to see things like I don't know, CD Projekt Red Plus, or, that was just the first one, or Neversoft Plus, things like that. I bet you're going to start seeing things like that. I mean, you already saw it with EA, right? Yeah. EA until they made that deal with Microsoft. So these are the things that are probably going to happen. I imagine it's going to be a while, just like it took 10 years with Netflix, for these like companies to start popping on board and start going, you know what, hey, maybe we can stop losing profit by going that way, because that's all they ever do. They're freaking companies, and Microsoft's going to keep buying things because they're a freaking company in the country, so they're just going to keep trying to make a monopoly. But yeah, I think that's what eventually we're going to see. And yes, right now we're reaping like the most benefits for it, but the price is going to keep going up, just like Netflix keeps going up. As more and more games start coming, then they're going to start seeing third-party games starting to leave. And then you're going to see, okay, now we have the full-fledged, full-out effort to make our own content. That's why there's a million documentaries, a million murder mystery, a million everything, gaming, or not even gaming, as a cooking shows. Like there's Netflix has a million things now, right? Like every day a new movie, docuseries, or competitive show pops up. So it's going to be a full-out frenzy in a couple of years. But right now we can reap the benefits of third and first party.
Yeah, definitely.
Great.
Yeah.
That's, I mean, that's like, I know you're going to talk about the MLB The Show a little
Yeah.
bit, but like that kind of rolls into that too, right? Is like, just like right now, that is such massive news for sports gaming, right? MLB The Show has been literally Sony the entire time. It is a Sony studio. San Diego Studios is a Sony studio. So for them to be on Game Pass is just like absolutely massive. I'm sure it's been talked to death at this point, but like it should be stressed that that is a very, very big thing.
It is a huge deal. It's weird seeing that trailer where you see Sony Studios or the Microsoft logo first, and then Sony Studios, and then the MLB The Show coming to Game Pass
crazy.
day one. It's kind of wild.
And it's funny too. I don't know if you saw on Twitter, like this was making the rounds on my Twitter as a like baseball fan. I follow a lot of baseball stuff, but like that was making the rounds. There was like a tweet from like 2012 or something from San Diego Studios or like MLB The Show's account or whatever, and people were like, "When are you coming to Xbox?" And they're like, "Never. We're a Sony studio and a Sony studio only." And it's like, and I
which is so funny because also, you know, making the rounds on Twitter was that the studio themselves asked Xbox to be on Game Pass.
Wow.
So it's just like it's crazy. I think I think that speaks more volume, right? Because it shows that developers see the value of Game Pass, and they're like, to the extreme of this, of a Sony studio is like, we need to be on that platform. Like that. Yeah, it's just kind of crazy. So yeah, well that's really the only Game Pass stuff that I wanted to talk about. But some delays that are unfortunately have happened since we've been away. Deathloop has been delayed to September. Back for Blood has been delayed until October. There will be a beta for the summer. Gotham Knights got delayed until 2022, which is kind of wild. No news on Suicide Squad, if that's going to be delayed, but most likely, yeah. And then my favorite of the bunch, which was kind of old news, but Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2 has been delayed indefinitely because they fired the studio.
Yikes.
Hard Suit Labs has been fired, so they need a new studio to make.
What does that even mean?
I don't know.
How do you fire a studio?
I don't know, but that game was supposed to come out this year. It was an Xbox One, Xbox Series exclusive, and they just fired the studio. And it sounds like it's basically what happened with Metroid Prime, was they weren't happy with what was going on, or maybe the studio did something, you know, PR wise that they didn't want leaking or something.
Scalebound has entered the chat.
Oh no. Yeah, that's pretty crazy. And I mean, we've talked to this about this to death, that, you know, delays will be happening, and like even more this year, and we'll be feeling the delays even more this year. But
delay apocalypse.
Yeah, there's not even like not even like any games right now where I'm just like itching that are about to come out, because I don't even know if they're gonna come out.
Yeah,
like,
might as well.
It's crazy.
Well, speaking of a game, go ahead. Sorry, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying it's sad. It's just it's a bummer.
Yeah.
Sad times.
Well, one game that will be happening is Mass Effect Legendary Edition. That has officially gone gold. So I think sometime in May, you'll be able to get your hands on that. Steve, did you hear about this news of Hideo Kojima secretly working on a new game with Xbox?
This guy again. Just put him in Cyberpunk in like another spot or something. Like, I've never been a huge fan of anything. I know aren't you like a Metal Gear Solid guy?
I mean, I played 5, but like I'm not like a
Yeah.
huge fan. Yeah, but
Yeah,
I think
and I
Go
didn't
ahead.
I didn't really have any interest in Death Stranding or anything
Yeah.
like that. So that's not necessarily my cup of tea. But hey, for Hideo Kojima fans and for Metal Gear fans, like cool,
Yeah,
another game.
I've heard the stories and how well regarded he is and his work. So it'd be great to have a first party game, but I mean, it's all just speculation at this point. CD Projekt Red was also in the news.
When aren't they now?
Yeah, pretty much. Discord is shopping itself around. I think we talked about that in the other episode, right?
Oh, I thought they came out after. I don't. It might.
That's weeks old at this point, though. Regardless, like,
Well, yeah,
nothing's happened on that front, though, right? Like, no one has officially bought Discord at this point.
I don't
No.
think anyone is. I think they were just trying to see what the valuation would be and weigh out if it would be better to go public or to be bought out. But usually going public is the better option, and I think what they want to do. So
Mhm.
to be on the stock market and stuff.
Yeah.
So investing that way instead of being straight up bought.
11 billion was the number. Oh, or 10
10.
billion. I'm sorry, was the number floating around.
Isn't that more than Star Wars?
That's more than they
than
paid for Bethesda.
Isn't it like 2.5 times? Wasn't Star Wars 4 billion?
Yeah, but it's also more than they paid for Bethesda.
Yeah,
It's more than a
still.
company paid for the Venetian and Sands.
Oh yeah, that's
Gosh.
true.
I just can't, my brain.
And that's what Jeff Bezos makes in like 3 days.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
pretty much.
cool.
And lastly, the PSN store for PlayStation 3 and Vita officially end July and in August, which is I'm
Rip.
surprised it's still around, but it's also
People are still developing for it though, which is what's crazy. Like the fact that it was
for the
still,
Vita.
Yeah, there was still
Yeah, some games are coming out.
What the heck?
Not a lot, but yeah,
Yeah.
there were some small games that were still like in patches and things like that.
patches and still some companies that were still making things
Wow.
for that. So that's kind of crazy. It was still being supported so heavily by developers as well.
Mhm.
So it's interesting that they're closing it. They must not be making enough profit now, even with the support, to justify keeping it open,
Yeah.
which is interesting.
It just goes to show that like Sony has definitely shifted more towards the American market. I mean, we've been saying this for a while, and people have been saying it for a while, that they've kind of left their Japanese market high and dry because the Vita was like super popular in Japan.
Huge.
Yeah.
fan.
So
Well, if Sony can save like 3 cents a day by like sending you 4 less packing peanuts, they're gonna do it. So
Mhm.
like every company, right? Like that's all that matters to them.
It just seems weird that they can't just like combine the stores or something though. Like,
Well, it doesn't make sense for them to do it, right? That's such a small market. Like, why do it? Because I mean, when's the last time you played your Vita?
I don't know, in a Vita. I got a PSP. I got the handheld console that didn't do good and didn't have good
Yeah.
games. So
Well, okay, then this is the last time you picked up your PSP.
I never picked up that thing.
Exactly. Yeah, it's exactly like with the Switch and with the cell phone. Why would there's really no need to keep doing that? Which I mean is a bummer to say, and like yeah, there sure is definitely people that still play it, but like I mean remember when they shut down Xbox Live on like the original Xbox, everyone was like up in a frenzy. It was like, yo, my Xbox died like 15 years ago.
Again, it goes into markets because it's not popular here, handhelds are still huge in Japan. Like
Sure.
that is the reason that the Nintendo Switch is doing so well.
Yeah.
And that is the reason that Nintendo still made it a handheld instead of just a straight up console. Like phones haven't replaced consoles in Japan, and that's what you were getting at, Irving, is the fact that it's like it definitely seems like the focus is more on the American market because of simple little decisions like that. So
yeah, exactly. And to your point, Steve, where it's like or like not to Aly, where why can't they combine them? Because it's like, yeah, like Xbox Live on the original Xbox is shut down, but you can still use Xbox Live on your 360, your Xbox One, your Xbox Series, like, and those are all pretty much integrated besides the 360 and the One. Like exactly what you have on that is exactly what I have on the other one. So it seems a little more like more together, as opposed to where like, yeah, you have the PS4 store, but then you also have the PS5 store, and those are completely different. And so like, yeah, it just goes to show that they're not on the same like level.
Yeah, because if they combined everything, it feels like you would still have your options to buy more PS Vita games. They would still make profit in a way. But like, and then having everything connected to one account, like exactly like they do with Xbox, it just seems weird that they, instead of just completely shutting it down, to not like, I guess though maybe the development would cost too much and it's just not worth it. But I know that like, I know people are really sad about it. I was surprised it was still being supported at all though when they announced.
Yeah, I think that's like I think it's easy for us like as gamers to like be like, well, why would you shut that down, or like why would you do that? But like when you're in the mind of a
company,
you know, a company CEO, whatever, like again, like if they can send you one less packing peanut to save a quarter of a cent, or to move their company to like Indonesia or something, then like they'll do it. And like, yeah, it's a bummer, and like that type of thing sucks, but like they have crunched those numbers 5 trillion times and have had 500 board meetings on it, and all the bigwigs in the world came together on a Zoom meeting just like we are, and like talked about like, all right, well, we're cutting this, and we're shutting down this plant in Michigan, and we're moving it to like, and it's just like, ugh, it's ruthless. It sucks.
Yeah, I think the only other thing that I would say is like it also might just be a Japanese thing because of Sony, because Nintendo does the same thing too. So Nintendo shut down the Wii shop, they shut down the Wii U. No, the Wii shop is definitely yeah. Either way, they shut down shops all the time, and it's also like your account isn't really like form fitting as like Xbox Live, where you could just do everything on there. Like I have an account on the Wii U, I have a different account on our Switch. If I were to make an account for myself, I would have to make another account, and it's just like not really cohesive between like everything. So they make it really difficult.
Well, Nintendo's really been bad at that too. Like,
yeah,
specifically,
it does sound like
Nintendo's
a Japanese
bad
thing.
Yeah, it could be.
Yeah, because it's those two. It's the two Japanese companies that can't seem to get things together, which is funny because I think I've kind of always had this like, it's always like the Japanese either do things really, really good or really, really bad. Like they can't get their shit together. And it just always goes into like they're set in their ways, which ends up being like a negative for them. Like they're so set in like, well, we'll just make a new store. We'll just make a new store. We'll make a new store. While it's like Xbox has proven like how nice it is to just have everything connected to one account and make it's just easy. It's always there. Like, I don't know. It's unfortunate that like they get so stuck in their ways that they don't want to like, they're either super innovative or they're super traditional and stuck. It's like there's no in between with Japanese companies.
E3 is happening in 2021. Announced April 6th, E3 2021 is happening through a all digital event. Before we get into all the details and everything like that, I want to know everyone's initial thoughts. Aly, what do you think? Are you surprised that E3 is coming back?
No. I know that like it's kind of in those make it or break it years right now, but I kind of figured we'd see him back.
Yeah. How about you, Steve? Are you surprised by this news?
A little bit. I'm not like blown away by it. You know, E3 is a massive situation and a massive company and things like that. But like, I think I'm not saying anything crazy when I say it's dying. Like when Sony pulled out, like it's a big deal, and you know, it's not like how it used to be, right? Like it's not as exciting as it used to be. E3 used to be a thing. I remember just like getting ready to watch Kevin Pereira and Olivia Munn on G4 while, you know, they're going to E3, and it's a huge deal. And oh my gosh, Microsoft's the first one, and they're going to announce a new Halo, and like all these things. Like that's just not necessarily the thing anymore. That's just not how like the world works, how news works, and like that's just not how game development works anymore. Like the development cycle is so long, and we're starting to see the wear and tear of that, and like our expectations as consumers are like so much higher, right, for quality and quantity and speed, because everything we get is in abundance in a moment's notice, and we expect patches and new content and DLCs and like all this stuff, right? So like it's not shocking that as the industry changes everywhere else, that it changes how they do announcements. So I would say live it up while you can. E3 probably isn't going to go away fully, but it is probably going to continue to change. And I got to imagine 1 year, it's just like eventually will just straight up be like a gaming convention that isn't with announcements and is just going to be like competitive and like retro and things like that. And like PCs will enter the market a lot more there, and there'll be, you know, showroom floor kind of stuff. But I think the days of the big Bethesda, the big, you know, Square Enix announcements are coming to a close, which is sad. But, you know, we're still going to get the information. It's just going to be in a different capacity, just like Nintendo Directs and PlayStation whatever and, you know, all those stuffs.
Yeah,
Stuffs.
For sure. Did you want to say something off of that?
Invented a word.
Oh no, I mean, I kind of agree. I don't think E3 is ever going to be completely gone. I do think it's going to continue to change and be completely different from what it started as, though. It's gonna not be an industry event anymore. It's gonna be a fan event, which isn't a bad thing. Like, because as especially as things come back into more in-person events and stuff, if they just kind of focus on those fans and trying to bring them anything exclusive, then it's gonna thrive. And anime fans, gaming fans, like anyone, any of those like geek niches, like people love to come together. So if they can make it an excuse to come together, then they'll still be around. They'll still exist. Yeah. They'll still have a place and a purpose. But I agree that it's probably going to turn into less of an industry event like it's been.
Remember, it used to be an industry only event.
Yes,
right?
Exactly.
Until a couple of years ago.
It's already been making those changes. So, I mean, it's already kind of headed in that direction. What I would kind of like to see, though, is E3 somehow still keep hold on some sort of like some sort of thing where you have a reason to go to this convention over another gaming convention. What I'd like to see happen is maybe, yes, it's still a place where like announcements come out, but more in like a teasing fashion versus like how it's always been like, hey, here's our plan for the year. Here's what we're doing. Here, we're going to give you all this information. What would be smart for the actual companies would be, hey, we're making a big announcement at E3. Make the announcement, make it like a tease. And then that gives those companies the opportunity to then do their own event 3 months down the line and have people come to their specific event. But it also gives E3 something, and it gives fans something to look forward to and to be like, oh my God, now I'm so excited for that Microsoft event in August because we're going to get more information on that. That's kind of what I would like to see it become. That way there is still that like excitement and that intrigue and a reason to go for more than just, oh, like it's fun to play demos and stuff. I would like to see somehow there be a balance if that's possible with the way things are going.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you guys have hit the nail right on the head where it used to be an industry thing, but now it's turned more into like more of a consumer thing. And I think they're even hitting that home even more with this event because although it's all digital, it's free. And then also they've like pretty much said that they really want to like try to make it more inclusive to everybody. So that makes me believe that because we're not going to an actual convention center to play in these demos and test out these games and, you know, like you get first hands on it, we might see maybe, you know, things get announced and they're like, and everything you see today, you can play on your Xbox or on your Switch or, you know, like.
Well, they've been doing that with demos and stuff too, right? Like,
yeah,
but yes, to expand on that, yes, like to make that more of a thing. And I got to imagine like past this year, right? And I'm thinking this is like kind of going to be just the norm moving forward for any event. Like companies have now seen that it can be done digitally because it had to be. And now the industry, every industry has moved digitally. And that's just another opportunity to make more money. So you're going to start seeing like more ticket sales for concerts, for comedy shows. Like, I mean, look at HBO Max, right? Like everything, you can go watch Godzilla right now, like, and or Disney Plus, go watch Raya, spend $20 and you can go watch Raya. Like that's going to be the same thing for these types of gaming conventions. You're just like, Blizzard's been doing that for years at BlizzCon. BlizzCon virtual ticket. That's going to keep happening. And like, it's the cost effectiveness of that. And like the availability for profit for people who can't come in, like it's a no-brainer. And like I bet you E3 is going to start moving towards that model too.
For sure.
I could see that.
Well, June 12th through the 15th, 4 days of online press conferences. Confirmed to be there will be Nintendo, Microsoft, Capcom, Konami, Ubisoft, Take-Two Interactive, Warner Brothers Games, and Coach Media. Um, Missing from this list is obviously Sony and EA. Now, we've talked about before that Sony hasn't been at E3 since 2018, and they skipped out. They had a really weird thing, a 2018 show. It was really weird. And then obviously 2019, that was their first year that they weren't there. And then obviously last year, nothing happened. And EA has always kind of done their own thing, but not officially part of E3. They don't rent any space or anything like that in there. They kind of just do their own thing off site, which
Didn't they
they're
used
probably
to do it at
still
the
gonna
same
do.
time, right? Didn't it used
Ye-
to be like
Mhm.
across the street or something?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
at, like the Microsoft Theater or something, wasn't it? Because it's at the convention center here in
Mhm.
LA.
Yeah, they
And
used to
then I
do it
think they
like
used to
really
do the-
close by.
Yeah, I think it was like legit like 0.2 miles away in like LA Live, which like if
Yeah.
you ever been around downtown LA, like it's like
Yeah,
right
it's
there.
walking distance.
Yeah, yeah, literally like hotels are right there. You go to Staples Center, you go to Convention Center, and then like LA Live, so it's like right there.
Yeah. So the only other thing is like that, like so E3 is happening, but also I'm pretty sure Jeff Keighley is still going to do his Summer of Games thing that he did last year, which was basically the replacement for E3.
Mhm.
Him and a ton of media people like IGN and GameSpot did their own E3 style things where they had like specific developers come in, interviews, they did showcases, they did, like all these other things.
Oh, sorry.
So they did all that, and I think they're doing it again this year. At least IGN and Jeff Keighley are still doing it as well. Do you think that's kind of still odd for them to be doing that and kind of directly almost competing with them? Or because to be honest, and it's something that I have here on the notes, but like I felt like last year was so sporadic that it didn't feel like E3.
Yeah.
Like obviously because E3 didn't happen, but because of how it felt like 2 months of just like random things just happening here and there on top of Microsoft's March or August show that they had, and like everybody else. It just felt really disconnected and disjointed. That I think that because E3 feels so special is because it all culminates into like one weekend, right? Where it's like the Super Bowl basically, where the gaming community comes together and everyone gathers around and they see what gets announced, and it feels more special that way as opposed to just like the sporadic amount of just shows, right?
Yeah, it's kind of like splintered off. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. Do you guys feel that same way, or what are your guys' thoughts on
Well, I think
last
it's more
year?
like that, like what like we talked about, like this, like the nature of game development now, right? Is just like it's more sporadic, and things get delayed, and things don't get delayed, and things sometimes like get pushed up a few weeks or whatever. So it's just like I think that since it's so much harder to create games and so much more goes into them now, and the quality level is so much higher. Like weirdly on the flip side, it is the same way for things like PAX, right? Or like Gamescom.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can still like make indie games, and those things still like single people can make video games and stuff too. But like the big budget and the ones that are gonna make the buku bucks, right? Like they're splintered and they're on weird development cycles, and like not necessarily like sure they're still gonna make the rush to try and make Christmas, but
Mhm.
like that doesn't happen like all the time. CD Projekt Red, right? Like look how far that got pushed, and look how much of a mess it still is. Like that's still gonna keep happening, and we're probably gonna keep seeing these weird little small Jeff Keighley things, and like
Mhm.
Alana Pierce or whatever like are gonna be doing their Twitch streams, and like there's just so many ways to get the information out, and like developers and companies and stuff are just gonna keep going to like whatever the highest traffic is to make their announcements, or do it by themselves on like YouTube.
Yeah. And I guess that's why I think it's important for E3 to try to at least stay ahead of the game and still be like the event that everyone looks forward to, just to feel a lot more concise and feel a lot more connected. Because like although Jeff Keighley and IGN doing their own thing was very bold of them, and like kudos to them, like the amount of like work that had to be done into doing live events like that, scheduling everybody, making sure like Zoom calls had to work, like padding everything out to be this enjoyable thing, not just a bunch of just noise, right? Like kudos to them for doing that. But I think that it also kind of showed that like yes, everyone can do it, but it also doesn't mean everybody should do it on their own, I guess is what I'm saying. Like, you kind of need that structure, right? You kind of need that structure in order for it to be more of a consolidated message, as opposed to just yelling a bunch of stuff, or everybody just yelling here and there and just trying to get their information out there. I don't know, because I've heard the news of E3 2020 that was supposed to happen, which was very focused on like streamers and like content creators and like all these things. It was a heavy focus on that, and like they were supposed to be the big celebrities pushing these things, and I felt like that was not what the spirit of E3 is. So hopefully that year off kind of made them realize that no, we need to focus on is having everybody together. And I think that's also why like Microsoft could have easily just been like, nah, we did our own thing last year, we're good, we're not going to be a part of E3. But I think they're very much in the focus of like, you know, bringing the community together and, you know, being together, as opposed to just like, well, we did our own thing, we're just going to go do our own stuff again this year. Yeah. Do you have anything to add, Muffin?
Well, first off, Microsoft being there doesn't surprise me, and Microsoft supporting it doesn't surprise me, because once this gets back into an in-person event, that's opportunity for Microsoft to go and talk to other developers outside of Game Pass and potentially bring people on. Like, with how they're trying to set up their business, it makes sense to want community to come together, because that's just good networking opportunities for them and good opportunity for them to expand what they're doing. Unlike, you know, like Nintendo and Sony, it doesn't matter because they're so like focused on their own thing. Being a part of the gaming community doesn't matter to them. What other companies and developers are doing doesn't matter to them. And then when it comes to just E3 versus like all the other events, I think it just depends on like what the community, what gamers want. Like, do gamers want to be drip fed things throughout the year, or do we want one time a year where we get all the big announcements and then everything else is kind of secondary? But I think a lot of us prefer to, like you said, have like this big moment of excitement where you're like, all right, this is where, if there's anything big being announced this year, it's going to be here. Like, I think it's just, like you said, it's more exciting versus like a drip feed. Because when I think of a drip feed, I think of what Nintendo did last year and how underwhelming it was to have a, what's it called? A Nintendo Direct.
Nintendo Direct.
Every single month. And people are disappointed because it's like, what do you have to announce this time? You already announced this. And it was just like, it felt more like a constant disappointment versus like if they had just like gotten together and been like maybe a spring and a fall and be like, here's all of our big announcements. Then it's exciting, and the things that are disappointing, you kind of forget about because you didn't spend time getting up, waiting for this news, specifically for like something that's disappointing. I think it's always good. Yes, things will be kind of overshadowed, but like the big things that people are excited for, it's gonna get people talking, and it's gonna make an event not so disappointing. If that makes sense.
I think though too, Aly, like you talked about the drip feed, right? Like, look at the movie industry, right? Whenever the 15th Marvel movie comes out of that year, right, we have seen 10 trailers for it, and we basically and like, it sucks. Irving, I know you're like a big Spider-Man fan, just like I am. Like, I'm already pissed at the next Spider-Man because I already know who's in it and I already know the storyline of it. I'm like, what the hell? Like, I want to be surprised. I want to be excited.
Yes.
But like, that's the way. And like, I wouldn't even say for better or for worse, because for us as consumers, I think it's worse because there's like, we lose like the excitement value, like to your point, Aly. But like, if they can continue to generate buzz over a long period, even if like that one buzz, like that, like the one, like, okay, let's compare them, right? They say E3, boom, here's all your information. Oh my God, you're wowed. Here's a gameplay trailer. Here's a cinematic trailer. All these 3 different trailers for one game, whatever. Everyone talks about it, right? It's trending on Twitter, whatever. People are talking about it. They talk about it for 2 days. It's gone. Now, let's say they do that 4 times a year instead. Now that gets them a week and a half to 2 weeks of buzz total over the course of a year, as opposed to 2 days. Even if they're not getting the exact numbers every time they release something, but they're still getting that buzz throughout. So it's like constantly in your head, right? Like, that's the whole point of advertising, is to, I'm always in your head. I'm always in your head. Even if, like, even look at like McDonald's, like they won't even be advertising like their actual food, or Taco Bell won't even necessarily be advertising their food, but it's just the idea of us. It's like, hey, we exist. Remember us. Just like Halo, right? They're like, hey, remember, we have Halo, we have Halo, we have Halo. And eventually you don't even realize it as a consumer. Like, you are every 4 weeks thinking about Halo. Just Irving, we're thinking about Cyberpunk that whole 2 years,
Yeah.
3 years, right? We're thinking about Cyberpunk. That marketing was genius. It totally worked, for better or worse, but it totally worked. And that's going to be the thing. And it sucks. Like, I want to be excited for E3. Like I said, I loved waking up during the summer or whatever, right? And like spring break or whatever, and like turn on G4 and things are coming out. But it's more than likely heading towards the same path. Like, you can look to under industries like the movie industry, and it's going to keep going that way.
Oh, see, and I have so many issues, with movie
Oh, me
trailers
too.
and movie, like the movie industry in general, how they advertise now. I have so many issues with it. But like,
Yeah, it's boring. It sucks. It's
yeah,
like frustrating.
movies aren't even exciting anymore.
Yeah, it's
But
frustrating.
with this, and that's exactly what I was trying to say earlier when I'm saying like I'd like to see E3 be like the tease, right?
Yeah.
Like I want you to announce all your major projects for the next year, but I don't want you to give me too much at E3. What I want to know is what I can expect in the next 12 months, but from here to the next E3. I want that tease. Kind of even something as simple as like when Sony announced the new God of War that we still don't have any information on, really, where it was just a trailer and people were fucking stoked, right? They're like, oh my God, a new one's coming out. I don't know anything about it, but I'm so excited. Or like, imagine you go to E3, they bought, Microsoft bought out Bethesda. Imagine they give you just that like little tiny taste of, hey, we have a first party project. Here's the name of it. Here's like a 20-second trailer.
Yeah,
and
or
like
just
said,
like a black image
teaser.
screen and like just sound, right? Like
Yes.
think about like when they announced like Halo, what is it, like Halo 4 or 5 when he was like the desert thing? Remember when they announced that? That was like the
Yeah.
coolest thing. Like
4.
it was just it was 4, yeah, that's right. It was just like desert and like sounds, and then like as us fans, like the sound of Halo, and you're like, oh my God, I think this was Halo. Like you're like, here we go. And it's so much more fun for us.
So exactly, and we know the teases that I'm talking about. So like if E3 were to become the event where you make that small announcement, that still gives you a reason to go to E3 and to be excited, because you're going to get something. You are going to get like the small taste of what's to come. And then what I think that these companies need to do is take that, and like you said, you want that little bit of momentum every few months to keep people talking and keep people interested. And like I said, like, so like maybe E3 is in June, maybe in September, that's when Microsoft does their own separate thing that they want to do. It's enough time in between the events for it to still be exciting. You give a little more of a taste of what it is there, whether it be a full trailer for that, and then maybe a few months down the line, 2 months before the game is going to be released, you get that first look at gameplay. Like, I still see how they can like coexist, and you could still do your own thing, but you can also make E3 a really exciting event.
Well, I think
have a
perfect
drip feed.
example.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there, but
Oh, no,
before
you're good.
I lost it in my head. Look at this, just a couple weeks ago, the Square Enix like Life is Strange thing, right? Like 2 days before, hey, in 2 days we're gonna announce Life is Strange. You go, whoa, like what?
Yeah.
And that like totally worked. And then we get like a full breakdown of it or whatever, and like, hey, it's gonna be available sometime in the future. And you go, okay, cool, thank you. I will look forward to that. And drip feed me something in a couple months or in 9 months or whatever, and give me a release date, and like I'm still on board. So like the old marketing style that we're accustomed to with E3, it still works. It's just that they don't want it to work that way.
Exactly. But I think there's still room for that fine balance. So that's just like where I hope things go. And like I said, though, I didn't like it. I didn't like getting drip fed. I'm good with drip feeding of a singular game. I didn't like it. I didn't like getting drip fed though. Like, here's EA stuff, and here's Microsoft stuff, and here's Nintendo doing something every other month. I think it's still just like you want that excitement of that one big thing, that one big event. You're gonna have a whole bunch of announcements, and then for the next year, the drip feed is gonna be more information on those projects, not drip feeds of the. Does that make sense? Not drip feeds of the company is coming out every 2 weeks with their own event. Because then you can pick and choose what you want to be excited for, and you pick and choose what events you want to watch based off that E3. Like, I'm excited for this, this, and this, so I'm going to watch Microsoft and Sony.
Yeah, I think like the perfect like balance, right, is like, let's just like lay out a timeline. Like, teaser, okay, no date, just announcement teaser, okay, and then 6 months later, trailer, full-fledged cinematic, okay, 6 months later, gameplay trailer. 3 months later, release date. A month later, release. Like that would be perfect for us. But like to your point, Nintendo Direct every month isn't fun because I'm like, cool, another Sword Smash character. Like, who cares? Like, I don't care
That type
anymore.
of drip feed isn't fun. It's like
No.
there's a drip feed that is fun and there's a drip feed that isn't. Nintendo is not doing it right. These other companies though can do it in a way to keep them like you said, to keep people talking, and that's what it really comes down to, is keeping people excited and keeping people talking and keeping people excited for what you're going to talk about next. Not like, oh, because like I think a bad example was like Resident Evil, where it was kind of just the same shit over and over again for 3 months. Like, there's a fine balance of these drips.
Which is hilarious because they're doing another showcase this week.
See, and then it goes into too much, right?
Well, like
there
the
is too much.
The Night
There's
City
not-
Wire thing. Remember when CD Projekt
Yeah.
Red?
Yes, that was
Like,
too much.
I don't
That
care.
was too much. Yeah.
It was
Fix the
too
game.
much.
I
Yeah.
Make it good.
Like, yeah.
Yeah, that became too much. It became, because like it goes into the trailer thing. You still want a little intrigue. You want just enough information. There's a fine balance. Just enough information. Keep you talking and interested, but not to make you bored before it actually comes out.
Here it
There's
is, guys.
never enough of the tall lady. All I'm gonna say.
This is it right here.
No.
We have been talking for like a half an hour on this one thing, but it boils down to this. It boils down to this: quality over quantity. It's like the most basic
Absolutely.
thing we all know. Like, remember when, I don't know if you guys are Donkey fans, but like when
Yeah.
Donkey
Uh-huh.
was doing like that stupid bit for like a week, like his video views were going down, right? Like of the Minecraft Mondays or whatever, and,
Yeah.
like Among Us Tuesdays. Like, it was funny for like 3 videos, and then I was like, okay, all right, man, like let's get to the real stuff. Like, this is like, we're done with this. But it's the same thing, quality over quantity. It's like nothing new. We've been talking about it for hundreds of years, and
Yep.
duh, it applies to this too.
Well, that's it for this episode. I want to thank Steve for joining us this week once again. Steve, thank you very, very much. Let's talk about some of the things you've been working on, Steve.
Yeah,
Last
man.
time you were with me, you mentioned your podcast, movies I should have watched with your best friend. I've watched a couple of them. Again, I haven't watched most of them because I still want to watch the movies that you talk
Yeah,
about.
yeah,
But
yeah.
I've got to say, if the B movie episode that you guys did was hilarious. I love that movie because of how just ridiculous it was. And it listening to your guys' conversation just reminded me of how ridiculous that movie is.
Sucks so bad. That movie is so bad.
My favorite thing is that the fact that you brought your friend in who is an actual lawyer, because
Yes.
in the movie there's B law.
Oh no.
Yeah, we had
So
a
if
full
that-
like 22-minute breakdown of the law proceedings in B movie. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. That was probably the funnest we've done.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, movies I should have watched, available on podcast platforms everywhere. Literally just search for it. It's not a YouTube podcast like yours is. It's an audio podcast. But yeah, actually you'll be on an episode coming up. We're doing Taxi Driver.
Taxi
with
Driver.
you. So movies I should have watched. I mean, it's kind of self-explanatory, but it's a podcast that we watch movies that everyone has yelled at us that we were supposed to have watched a million years ago. Movies like Gone with the Wind or like B Movie, or just like types of things like that. Like, it's impossible to see every movie, so we kind of, my best friend Alex and I, kind of just like during COVID, we're like, hey. I haven't seen a bunch of these movies and I'm bored, so let's watch all these movies. And we started with Jaws, and here we are. We've gone through B Movie. We've gone through My Cousin Vinny, which actually is just coming out this week. If you're watching this when this episode comes out, but yeah, and you're going to be on the Taxi Driver episode, which is super exciting. And if you are interested, and like Irving, to your point where you're like, I don't know, I don't want to listen to it until like I watch the movie, at the beginning, like the first like 15 minutes, we give our like spoiler free recommendation for a movie or not. So you can listen to us ramble for a few minutes and talk about whatever is going on that week. But then we also say, hey, before we actually get into the movie, like I'll ask Alex, and I'll ask the guests if we have any, should somebody watch this if they haven't seen it, and we'll give our spoiler-free review. So if you are interested in any of the movies that are on our list, which is almost at 20 now, which is crazy.
Wow.
We've been doing this for a couple months now. Then you can go ahead and hop on there and listen, and then pause it, and then you can go actually listen to it after you watch it. So if you're looking for a recommendation, we're millennials, older millennials who haven't seen a lot of these movies, but enjoy movies, but we're not critics. So it's fun. It's a lot of fun.
It is fun. La La Land I've listened to. I've listened to the B movie, and then the most recent one, Lethal Weapon. That was a huge.
Love that movie.
That movie was
so
great.
Good.
And,
Go watch Lethal Weapon. It's so awesome. So good.
All the Lethal Weapon is really good, and then also like Die Hard. You guys talked about briefly, and then anything that has to do with Jackie Chan during that time, during the the 90s and stuff. Oh,
I think we need to have like a Jackie Chan month or something.
Please do.
Yeah, you guys are both invited anytime. I would love to. We could have a Jackie Chan month. We'll just do like August, just Jackie Chan month or something.
I love Jackie Chan, so yeah. But yeah, movies I should have watched on podcasts, audio stuff everywhere. I listen on Spotify. Wow. Yeah, I'm really good at that.
Spotify, iTunes, it's all there. Like everything, every app that is, you can get podcasts on. It's there.
Pretty much. Well, thanks again, Steve, for joining us. I hope you guys enjoyed this week's episode. What do you guys think about E3 returning? Are you guys excited or on the fence about it, or you really just don't care? Let me know. And make sure to take care, everybody, and we will see you guys next week. Take it easy. Bye-bye.
See ya.